It's a good one to get in the groove with and get in the groove with. Hold on. Clip. Hello and welcome to Frequency Broads. We are back for season 4. We are super excited. I am Tara, one host. Why did I say one host? That's so weird. I'm Tara. I guess I am one of the hosts. And I'm here with we got to get back in the swing of things. I'm here with my co-host, the lovely and ever so graceful Victoria.
One host. I love it.
So, wait, season 4 is going to start. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe, prescribe. I'm just going to say prescribe, and that means all of those things, especially please rating our podcast. The more rates we get, the more people we can reach. And we're really trying to expand our frequency to hit as many as are willing to listen. So like, share, subscribe, prescribe, rate, do the whole thing so that way you can keep up, because we already know that season 4 is going to be a good one.
How so?
Well, girl, we already talked about it. It's that anchoring in that density. Okay, wait. Quick story before we get into our freak check. Victoria and I were FaceTiming, and we're just trying to get into our heads about, we took a break. What is season 4 going to look like? What topics are coming through? Whatever. And we both start talking about how the energy feels like super dense for this season in like a good way, like really bringing down these like 5D concepts and beyond, 670, 8D, 9D, whatever, and bringing it down to earth and that huge density. And the two of us, Victoria's like holding her sweater or something. I can't remember. What were you doing? Holding your sweater? I don't know. And I had my hands like in my lap as we're talking about this, and we're both like, yeah, season 4 is going to look like this. And if you don't have an iPhone, I just learned this, but apparently it gives you, like, if you move your hands to make a certain emoji, it'll like give an emoji. So it started giving us thumbs up without either of us like giving that thumbs up as like a validation of like, yeah, ladies, get ready. So that's why I'm like, you better fucking prescribe, because thumbs up.
That was a trip. Yeah, we didn't have any of our our fingers were tucked in, so
tucked in, like, you know when a cat loafs and like,
yeah, we were loafing.
We were loafing hard, and they were like thumbs up, and then they gave us balloons the other day. I don't even know how to do balloons. So, which does bring us to our topic. I do want to get to a freak check and see how you're doing, girl, but our topic is living ritual, and like having that practice overflow out of the mat, out of the comforts of like your little altar space and into every day. And that's it right there, people. It's those signs and synchronicities that we're going to be talking about today, of how we take that into our everyday life and pay attention to the signs that we're getting. So, but how you feeling, boo? Freak check. I'm on one today, clearly. I'm so sorry. The voice.
I like it because I'm anchoring you right now. And I'm feeling actively,
like, whew. So funny because the card I pulled was Get Grounded. And I'm like, you know what I mean? But do you know that today, aka the day that this is airing, is our official 1-year anniversary?
Oh, it is.
Like our 1-year launch anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, our little freak shows. What a great, how perfect, because one of our first episodes was our personal practice, and we're coming back into that concept, but a little bit deeper. So perfect. Okay, now freak check. Let me stop talking and hand the mic to you, literally and figuratively.
Thank you.
How are you doing? What's your freak right now?
Do you want to take a deep breath together?
Maybe. It's first time back. I'm excited. I'm jittery.
I've been really into vibrating my throat on my exhale. That's my new thing. And if you have been with us since the beginning, you know how much my throat was locking up. every time we'd get on to record, I'd literally feel this like corkscrew feeling in my throat. But now I just like hum and vibrate it out. I am feeling just strange. We had a really epic ice storm here in Portland. And it felt like COVID 2.0, but in the worst way possible because we couldn't
Yes.
leave our homes. And, I rely so much on being able to go to nature and walk and observe and take in the sights and smells to just like shift my mood and energy. But I really was forced to sit with myself for a solid week, 8 days actually. And we went deep, we went inwards, we slept a lot. I'm not usually like a deep sleeper, but I was like, somehow I was able to just kind of sink into my winter hibernation and rest and give my mind a break. Even though dream world, like, can we just talk about how weird it is that we possibly leave our bodies, go out to wherever we go, experience whatever we experience, wake up in the morning with amnesia or just like little cliff notes of what happened. Like, why don't we talk about how freaking weird that is? Like, it's freaking weird that we sleep.
That is so weird, but it's also exactly what all of Earth's existence is. Isn't that crazy? Like
It is,
our
yeah,
like
exactly.
where we like our energy comes from is basically just like in a deep meditation or sleep. And then they wake up and they're like, huh, wow, I remember some of that, but that was kind of crazy. That made no sense. I was here and then I was there. That's so weird. Literal dream state.
But you're actually here and there and everywhere all at once.
Oh,
Fun.
please tell me you've
timelines.
seen that movie.
I haven't. I'm just like living it out personally. So
I mean, you are, as someone who watched it, you definitely are. But you have, it's been a long time, girl. I've been telling you to watch that movie.
I know I'll put it on my list.
But how are you feeling
okay,
now that you've rested?
But you know how like sometimes when you rest too much,
Yeah.
you just get weird. Like you're like drunk on
yeah.
too much sleep.
Yeah.
And then it actually sometimes makes you a little tired. And I'm like,
Overtime. Yeah.
But I really love what you were saying about anchoring in the higher frequencies into this density, into this earth plane. And so playing between being in this human vessel and playing in the cosmos is what we're here to talk about this season. And I am fully embodying this cosmic density. And I can't wait to share with you.
I love that little cosmic density because it is. It's like that energy coming from out there, but they've been able to like, make a little ball out of it and have that density.
It requires making space in your body, and that is not always a fun part of this process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I'm feeling good, ready to rock and roll. Excited to see your face and be back here with you. I'm grateful.
I know. I'm so excited
to be here doing this. Year 2, baby. Let's go.
Year 2. It's going to be a crazy one. 2024 in general for everyone is going to be a crazy one. And we're going to get into that a little bit too, ever so slightly. For me, as you know, I'm feeling antsy. Piece of that is because of this freaking ice storm. I was like, I'll go for a walk. That walk lasted all of 30 seconds before I busted my ass. I didn't fully, but it was icy out there. But now, because of being able to kind of take the week to just have almost like a second or extended winter break, I was able to get a little bit deeper into my personal practice, into some work that I'm doing that potentially, if we have time, I will share what has come through because it has been a fucking trip. But my meditations and my practices, and imagine that times 7. So that's a long story. So maybe that's not going to be shared. But now I'm feeling good. My focus has been to anchor in more unconditional love. And after the Pluto shift out of Capricorn, your girl as a Capricorn was feeling that heavily. After that shift, it was like a light switch came on. And between that and the personal practice that I've been having, I've been able to exactly anchor in more of that cosmic energy into the density. So I am super excited to be here. I'm also, Victoria and I, for those who are watching, are going to be playing a little bit with like our personal studio, air quotes, space. So I brought my comfy chair. So we're going to test out being a little bit more comfy than sitting on a hard chair. So here's my space, my new space, aka just a new chair. But
Now you get
that's,
to watch Tara squirm around
oh
and
my
wave
God.
her hands around like she's a
You
true
th-
New Yorker.
you thought I did before, but I'm going to be like all over the place this season. So get ready. And I hope you're watching. You know what? Whatever you want. Watch, listen. As long as you're getting your dose of our beautifully offered frequency. All right. Shall we talk about the topic today?
Actually, one thing about
Oh, yes.
Pluto leaving Capricorn and entering Aquarius. Aquarius energy has always bugged the shit out of me. I'm sorry, I love you, my Aquarian friends. I have a lot of air in my chart, so we've always gotten along, but there's always been something about Aquarius that just has rubbed me the wrong way, which is interesting because your descendant, which is opposite your rising sign or your ascendant sign, is said to be the type of partner you gravitate towards. So this Aquarian energy, which is my descendant, has always had this element of selfishness. And I think when we start to talk about our living ritual and our practice and what that looks like and feels like, it can often look and feel selfish. And I think that we're going to begin to see someone choosing something for themselves, whether you deem it as selfish or not. The way in which it contributes to the collective is what matters most. If someone has to take time away to recharge or do whatever, and you think that's selfish, actually, they're charging their energy up to come back to the collective and give. And I think playing in this selfish, but on behalf of others.
I love that because you're right.
Yeah.
It's the concept of, and I think we've talked about it probably in season 1, but understanding that before you can offer any healing or help to the collective, you need to be clear and not healed, but like tending to yourself. Someone's going to pull away and take care of themselves means they're not going to project as much on you. So it's selfless and selfish in the same breath because we are all one self. So when we tend to ourself and it can be deemed selfish, we're actually tending to the collective. So it's selfless by doing that extra work. But it fucking is not easy. It's always like firing guns, you know? And you're always just like in the Matrix. Oh my God, literally, I've never seen the Matrix, but like I know that scene where he's dodging bullets and we are in the Matrix. So that's literally what you're doing, right? You're just like,
Ooh, projections definitely feel like shots fired. So
yes. All right. Well, as I told Victoria, I have, first of all, check out my new journal. Is that not gorgeous?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, I love it so much. I have a long list, not a long list, but I have a list of things, a list of topics. So I'm just going to keep referencing my cute little journal so I don't forget anything. But I wanted to start, Victoria, if you're okay with me, starting with the concept of ritual itself. We're naming this, I almost said practice, this episode, Living Ritual. And, you know, a lot of times we use or people use the word ritual and ceremony kind of like interchangeably, but I want to clarify why we're using the word ritual instead of ceremony. Ritual is something that you do most likely daily. I don't want to say it has to be daily, but it's just something that's like a consistent, a ritual, right? A routine that you have in your own day to day, right? So when I'm talking about my morning routine, that really is a morning ritual with added intent, right? A routine is something we can do mindlessly. Ritual, we have that added intent and presence. So it's something we're doing often. When we do a ceremony, it's for a specific reason. It can be done in many other million ways, but it's usually like a one-off thing, right? I'm going to have a birthday ceremony. I'm going to have a wedding ceremony, right? You don't have a wedding every fucking day, but you have rituals to tend to your partner every day. So we wanted to name this living ritual because personal practice, we tend to think about carving out time to come to the mat, carving out time to meditate, to journal, to do all these kinds of things. And that's fantastic. And it's a great ritual to have. But ultimately, what we want to be doing is a living ritual, meaning that our entire existence is coming through this space of intention and intention as we walk through life and having one foot in this cosmic realm and one foot in the earthly realm, because both are extremely important. So it's not trying to leave Earth, it's trying to bring that density down, or that cosmic energy into the density. And we do that every day with every step we take and every breath we take. And that's why we're looking at our personal practice in a more evolved way through this concept of living ritual.
Beautifully stated.
Thank you.
And what a sexy way to redefine routine.
Yes.
Or habit, or those are the only two words I can think of.
Or routine, or habit, or routine.
I'm a dictionary kind of girl, not a thesaurus, so.
I do miss when you would tell me the definition of words, I must say.
It's definitely going to happen this season, so get ready.
Do you know what I want you to look up? Interestingly enough,
What?
I have been thinking about this word a lot, and it does kind of play into this living ritual concept or this personal practice. Release. I heard someone talking about how we shouldn't be using the word release as much as we do when we're trying to have these intentions of letting go, because the word re, or the prefix re, means again. And I don't know the full definition of it, and I didn't look it up because maybe I was waiting for you. I don't know. But when I think of the word lease on its own, it means to borrow for a short amount of time, right? Like leasing a car. So if I'm releasing, I'm again getting rid of this as a temporary thing to then come back into my life. And this cycle of like gain and release, gain and release, gain and release. So I've been really, every time I catch myself being like, oh, I'm ready to release this, I'm like, I'm ready to let it go, because I don't want it to come back into my field.
Or do you want it to come back a little bit more evolved, a little bit more cultivated, a little bit more with intention and meeting you at the frequency you're at right now? So I guess that's a good thing to play with is, do I really want to let this go, or do I want to have it come back and energetically match me to who I am now?
And I guess too, in those moments, whatever the fuck we're trying to release, we always like want it gone, right? Like if we're actively releasing something, we're like, get away, right? But maybe that's the evolved piece of it, is can I honor its opportunity to come back in at the right timing for whatever reason, whatever it is I'm releasing. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to think about getting things back that I'm letting go, let me tell you.
As long as it's with safety, joy, and for our highest good.
And that is the whole piece, or a large piece of this living ritual, is the concept that staying present to the knowledge that everything is happening for a reason. Everything is happening for your highest good. So it allows you to ride the wave a little bit easier and know that divine timing is there. I think that's going to be a little bit more of an idea that we're going to touch upon on the next episode. So I don't want to get too deep into that, but yeah, you're right.
Thanks. I like hearing that sometimes.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Well, my list is all about how I cultivate presence and intention.
Okay, so you're right there with it, girl.
I guess so. I'm here. Presence is a tricky one for me because I like to be everywhere all at once. And I think my living ritual has been presence for myself. And this is playing into the Aquarian age we're entering into, where I'm like, we went through the whole fill your cup first to fill others and that, but like actually, are you being present with yourself in your day-to-day self-care rituals, routines, whatever? I like wrote mine down like a step-by-step, which as I was getting ready today, I'm like, I'm so sick of these 5 steps to blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
2 steps to, and I'm like, actually, just like, let's stop with the steps and like go for a walk and think for ourselves and feel into how to like solve it for yeah, right? Because it's like, that's just not how it's our own blueprint we need to follow, not someone else's. Like, yes, it's amazing to have inspiration and look to others for like what resonates for you personally, but like, let's stop with the 5-step bullshit.
Yeah, because you're never going to know unless you go inward to find your own answers. And the key word you just said is inspiration.
Yep.
That's all you should be getting from other people is inspiration to test out that kind of medicine or whatever. So, yeah, are you being present with yourself? I think a piece of that reminds me of like the morning routine thing that I've been really trying to practice. And a morning routine is something I've always had, but it was always like, oh, check this off, check this off, check this off, check this off. And now everything I do, I'm like continuously just saying the same affirmations, right? I'm doing my gua sha and I'm like, you're beautiful and you're loved. You're beautiful and you're loved, right? Like, I sound like a crazy person. You're beautiful and you're loved. I swear to God, you're beautiful and you're loved. But that's the attention and intention in doing that routine.
I'm so proud of you for drinking more water.
I'm really trying.
You're glowing because of it. Worth it.
Thank you, lady. All right, well, I know we're not doing the 5 steps, but like talk a little bit to what you put down. Clearly it was important enough for you to write it down.
I was crying as I wrote this, so it's so funny that I'm like looking back on it because I was like, what possibly came through? I've been just releasing a lot through the form of tears. Actually, Tara posted this really amazing Instagram reel, and it was talking about crying and how you speak to it if you haven't seen the video.
Well, I was just talking about how crying is a form of like balancing or calming your nervous system. So what I was talking to was that when I express myself or I'm vulnerable in any way, I'm most likely crying, no matter what the emotion is behind that. And it's just a immediate feedback loop of activating this, like, I'm vulnerable and I'm nervous about what I'm going to say and how I'm going to be judged. So my nervous system spikes. And I'm also crying at the same time, so it calms down. And it's an equilibrium that allows me to speak clearly.
In a world where so many of us were taught that crying is a form of weakness, or you shouldn't upset others with your tears, like, fuck that shit. Your emotions are so powerful, and it's the biggest indicator of you understanding what your energy is trying to tell you. Yeah. Whether you know or don't know in the moment, like, just having that release is so potent. And when you trap those tears, it results in not so great blockages, stagnation, ickiness in your body. So let it flow, baby.
Defensive and angry, and we start trying to push our opinion and our point to be right because we're holding back and our system is activated, right? And then you're in your fight or flight stage. So crying is a superpower. Crying is a superpower.
Well, okay. Going back to how I cultivate presence and intuition. I wrote, I objectively... My nose is running. It's like, oh, you're saying tears, but you can't cry because you just put on mascara. Let's drip somewhere else in your body. Yeah. Not my preferred hole to come out of, but so I objectively observe, take in, and process what I'm hearing, seeing, and feeling.
Yes. Exactly what you just said, right? A part of living ritual is, like you were saying before, being able to, in real time, feel your feelings, right? And we have to be mindful of the space that we're in to be safe for ourselves. Or also, like, I can't be in the middle of like a meeting with the parents and be like, actually, it's been a really hard day. Like, we need to be able to, in a sense, compartmentalize without devaluing our feelings. So being able to step outside and take a deep breath and say, hey, like in the mirror, like, hey, we're going to check in on this later. I care about you and I love you, but we just can't do it right now. And that's okay. Right? The key is to then come back. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people are like, let me push this down because I can't right now. I'll deal with it later. And then they never deal with it.
I don't blame the people that don't come back to it. It's not a fun thing to come back to. But if you have the tools or a ritual in place, it makes it a lot easier, and you have the courage to face whatever it is that's arising without judgment and more with love and patience, and not even a need to understand, but a need to just self-soothe in a way that I wish we were all taught as little kids how to self-soothe. I know, deep breaths.
I know. I'm like, but that's, you said that and my candle just blew out. But that is, I feel like we need a tally on the bottom for how many times we say living ritual, but I'm going to keep saying it. That is living ritual. The ritual we hear in personal practice is sit with yourself, feel your feelings, journal it out, release. You should be doing that actively throughout your day. That's living ritual. Continue.
That's actually my second bullet point. I assess my energetic response to what I'm hearing, seeing, feeling. And I use the word assess, not judge or try to dissect or understand. Assess to me feels way more scientific and like, let's talk about probability and let's like see it from all sides, from the granular to the high level.
And that's literally what science is observation and taking data and looking for patterns, right? So you can do this in that's a huge part of my practice, is to do it scientifically. Observe, take data, recognize patterns. And if those patterns are not something that are bringing you pleasure or not something that are benefiting you or helping you grow, even if it's unpleasurable, then it's a pattern that you get to choose to change.
So I then regularly check in with myself to ask questions such as, am I acting in my highest integrity? Do I feel safe to be myself? Is there alignment, love, respect, and reciprocity?
Can I pause you? When You're saying that, do you mean with this situation or within yourself? The reciprocity and respect.
Good question. I think both. I tend to be a people pleaser and look outside of myself and wait for validation. And, this is part of the Aquarian age, right? Like where I'm like, let's see how I'm assessing myself in this. And I think tuning into what integrity means as I continue to evolve and grow and expand and release or let go. I realize I have a really, really hard time lying. And lying, I guess, to me in this instance that I'm referring to is not being able to tell the truth in the moment, even though the truth is not, or I guess not telling the truth is not hurting anyone in the moment. It just wasn't the time to tell the truth. Because today, actually, when this episode comes out, I am starting a new job. And I was in this kind of in-between phase of when do I give my 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks? And I was in these planning meetings and I was like, well, now isn't the right time. And I was just in all of this like in between state, which, I love. I live for the in between. I live for the void. I live for the nothingness because it feels so good to be in the womb of all creation and to get a little break from experiencing like either end of the spectrum of joy or pain. So yeah, I think in that moment before I was able to officially resign, I just felt like I was living a lie. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm not. Like, I really was hard on myself, but it's like there's something in my heart that just felt like I wasn't expressing the truth. And therefore, it was starting to eat away at me. And it really got me thinking about how I act in my highest integrity and what that means.
And that's really interesting and challenging as someone who's trying to embody this living ritual, because you have your heart and your throat chakra being like, we need to express authentically. And that's how we should be living our life. And then you have your intuition, your gut, that's like, but now it's not going to be received properly. And without having the practice of checking in with yourself and saying, okay, well, I'm feeling this duality of like, I need to say it right now, but I also cannot say it right now. So what's, like you said, for my highest purpose, for my highest integrity, for it to be received by the community, for it to be reciprocal. You in the middle of a meeting talking about the future going, by the way, I'm not going to be here. That's not reciprocal. You can still offer your ideas. You could still offer your opinion, your expertise, and then at a better time say, I'm so happy I was able to give you that, but I'm not going to be here to execute it, right? And whatever it is, blah, 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 blah. So that's so challenging when we're practicing this living ritual to have both of these things be true, right? It's not a duality where you're like, oh, it's just my fear. Like, both of these things are true. And if you weren't actively assessing yourself in a non-judgmental way, you wouldn't be able to find the inner wisdom. You wouldn't be able to find the right answer, because that guidance is always very clear, but it can get muddled up with our brain or even our heart's intentions.
Our heart's intentions. Well, this is funny because the next thing I wrote down was, I give myself permission to feel however I'm feeling.
Yes. Yes. Without judgment. Yes. Period.
Period. And then the last thing I put was, stop putting so much pressure on myself. I think us procrastinators tend to use a little bit of pressure in order to get things done. But I also think that pressure can be almost an escape from being present, because often when you're using pressure, it's because you should have been doing something way back then, or you're trying to prepare for the future, and there's nothing present about pressure energy.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know.
It's really
pressure just doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. And it's really interesting that you talk about like pressure from someone who likes to procrastinate, or, who struggles with procrastination, because someone who still has that little OCD brain, I also feel motivated by the pressure, but the pressure is instant. It is simultaneous. I am giving a task and the pressure is, this got to get done now, and it's got to get done the right way. And it's got so there is no presence for me either, because in that moment of pressure, I'm like, I can't be present without this happening first. I actually was talking to my friend Emma about this situation, because Andrew has ADHD. I have OCD. It's a very fucking hard house to navigate. And
you're like the ideal couple.
Are
we? Like the poster children of what most couples look like today. Yes.
Oh, God. And I was able to explain to Andrew that someone with OCD, or someone who has like this mental list, or I shouldn't even say someone, everybody experiences this. I do see it more in certain types of people, but whatever. there's a list. There is a list of what needs to get done in all areas of my life. Frequency broads, my work, my personal life, my practice, the home, my relationship. There's a list that sits right at the forefront of my brain. I cannot see or experience anything without looking through this list. So for me, I'm always thinking about the things that need to get done. Even if I delegate them to other people, until they're physically done, that list is still there. Practicing a living ritual is practicing taking that list to the side. You're not crumpling it. These are things that need to get done, but it shouldn't be what's covering your brain. It shouldn't be that you can't move forward or be present without doing all of these things first, because we're human. Those things will never end. I will always need to do the dishes and cook dinner. It's just going to have to happen. So how can we actively take that list again and almost compartmentalize? How can I take that list and put it to the side and say, I know these things need to get done, but I can't do them right now. It's not the right time to do that right now. So how can I be present and put that list to the side? That is where I find my biggest challenge.
What do you do?
I've just been checking in with myself to ask, like, if I did it right now, would it actually benefit the situation? Right? So if I, in the state that I'm in right now, if I get up and do the dishes, is that actually going to be helpful to the situation? No, it's not, because I'm supposed to be like finishing things up for work. Or like, no, it's not, because my body is asking me to rest. That's not actually going to help the situation. It's going to make the situation worse, because my body is so drained that even doing the act of the dishes is going to drain me even more. So I've been really just, when that list comes to the forefront, asking, is anything on that list? I mean, I still have OCD tendencies, right? So I am going to do the list. I'm going to fucking do the list first. That's always going to be the first thing I do. But when I am done with that process of, okay, I did my work for the day, can I put that to the side? It's hard, but just recognizing, is now a good time? Is it actually going to be beneficial for you to do this right now?
On the topic of pressure and putting pressure on oneself, we've talked a lot about creative expression, or just the expression of oneself, and having the courage and safety to, and just like knowing of oneself. But I think, starting my new job and being in this like point in my career where I'm like, what am I doing? Who do I really want to be when I grow up? It just has me thinking about how we constantly have this pressure to be or do or appear or to, right? And I'm like, okay, I have a fresh start here. I have never worked with any of the people I'm about to work with. So I kind of get to create my own character, or I come to the table with who I fully am in this moment without having, meeting the people I've known from my past with their preconceived notions or who they think I am. And it's really refreshing to not be placed with preconceived notions, because we all do it, right? And it's I think the older you are, I think it's more habitually hardwired in us to view people in that way. And I think there's kind of this like hard set, rigid element to it that hopefully the next generation or our generation will not carry forward, and that we get to meet people with just an open mind and heart for who they are in this present moment, and not let the past dictate the present moment.
Yeah. And that's really challenging. I think it'll always be challenging when you know someone for a long time, because we do recognize other people's patterns and we are in tune. It's a part of what makes us a beautiful community, is being able to say, hey, I noticed things have shifted for you. What's going on? Are you okay? Do you need anything? But we get so scared when they shift in a good way, because there's nothing that we can offer anymore, or we feel that we don't know what to offer anymore and how we could be supportive. Because when our friends were falling, we knew what to do to pick them up. But when they're growing, like, fuck, what am I supposed to do? Are you leaving me? Like, then we get this fear base. And I like that you use the word like hardwiring and rewiring, because something that I've been sitting with is the concept that my living ritual, my personal practice, the umbrella that all of it sits under is wanting to rewire my brain and my body to just be able to go with the flow, find grace and ease, or, find joy and understanding in everything, right? So whatever it is you're rewiring your brain and body to do, ultimately, like, that is what the practice is. That is what the living ritual is. For me, at this stage, it's rewiring my brain and my body to be my celestial, my highest self. And that looks like a million fucking things, right? But when we look at the concept of rewiring, then we can start coming to a place without judgment, because we're just like, oh, there's nothing wrong. How many times does my phone upgrade? How many times does my computer upgrade? It's a new software. I'm not going to be mad at the old software. It didn't know any better. There wasn't anywhere for it to go. Now that I have that upgrade, I can say, okay, let's learn about it. Let's have that self-discovery. That's the whole point of this living ritual. When you can sit there and actively be the observer always of how you respond, of how you interact with the world, how you interact with yourself, then you get to, in your more intentional times, rewire and course correct where you're going to go. And a lot of that comes with your guidance. A lot of that comes with, your signs and synchronicities. And through that carved out time of intentional practice, because we're not saying you don't need that. That's how you get your foundation. That's how you learn the skills. That's how you deepen your understanding of the 5 clairs, right? We've talked about the clairs and how to play with those, or different tools or pathways you can take to connect with something. But ultimately, once you have those tools, you got to use them outside. And that is, I think, one of the very first things to building your personal practice, to deepening your personal practice, is building your personal dictionary. Speaking of dictionaries.
I totally took it in a perverted way. So I don't know how else to hide that smirk on my face.
Like you're
a dictionary.
Like a dictionary? Yeah, but what's shanary though?
That's for you to find out.
I'm not getting it. Fuck,
I'm
obviously
obviously entering my ovulation cycle. But yeah, I guess here's the other thing. Have your dictionary, have your vocabulary to be able to express what it is that you're experiencing, but also your mentality, your mindset going into it should be that of play and curiosity, and to not take it so seriously. Right, Tara? What is that?
It's serious, but you don't have to be.
So, I mean, life's a play. Are you having fun yet?
Yes. A part of the rewiring for me is being able to find everything in my life as entertainment. Even the challenging things, I immediately put myself into watching a reality show. And I'm like, oh, right. Reality shows or movies can make you angry. They can make you sad, but ultimately it was entertaining. You liked it. You'll recommend it to somebody else. So my rewiring, a big part of that is how can I find everything entertaining, which is challenging in some regards. But I also want to clarify really quickly that when I mean to find your vocabulary, it's not just for expressing, but we use these tools like tarot cards or meditations or whatever to find the symbolism that is specifically for us. Mm-hmm. So I have dream books, and I have animal spirit guide books, and I have tarot cards that all give me definitions of what these things mean, but I get to choose what they mean for me. So that way, when I step out in the world and I go, oh, I had a meditation with a crane in it. That meant, I don't know, whatever. And now I'm outside and I'm seeing a crane. It brings you back. That vocabulary, having that vocabulary brings you back to the present moment, because you're now giving everything meaning outside of the definition of what that word means. There's a deeper meaning to everything you experience, and you're allowed to tune into yourself and say, oh, when I see owls, that means wisdom's coming to me, right? So there are indigenous people who see owls and think that that means death and it's a bad omen. Both are correct because everyone has their own vocabulary. You must learn your vocabulary. A great way to start is whatever tool you're using, say tarot cards, look at the symbolism on the card. Think about it. Sit with it. What does it mean to you before you read it? Then you start to see the synchronicities, right? Think about what the owl means to me before I read about what the owl means in other cultures. So building that vocabulary.
Let it be a practice of resonance and listening to your resonance.
Yes.
And that's, I think, the next step in talking about steps. But once you have a little bit of like a cheat sheet down for your signs and symbols that you're given, listen to the truth of what it means for you when you read what other people have interpreted it to be, and then knowing that you get to define what the definition is. And that's the coolest part about it.
And it requires play. Because if you felt it was so rigid and like definitive, it's not going to resonate. And you're going to be like, oh, this isn't, maybe I don't like a personal practice.
Hold up. Real talk. If your life were to be a genre of TV or movie, what would it be?
Oh, it would 1,000% be a classic cheesy sitcom situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would. For sure.
Like 100%. 100%. What would yours be? Oh, I think I know, but I want to see what you say.
Definitely a cross between a rom-com movie and then like Real Housewives of Portland, I guess. Let's make it weird.
You out with your martini trying to get across the ice like, oh my God.
Trying to run to the dispensary. Yeah.
I knew you were going to say rom-com, but I didn't think about the reality show. I was thinking more like drama, like a drama series. Not saying you're
No, I
dramatic
mean,
or
but
anything,
life's very dramatic over here. And it has me
Yes.
thinking, like, if I knew how things played out, if I knew the ending, like, how would I act now? If I were to see who I end up with as my life partner, like, how would I act in this situation with the person I'm dating now? But that's not how life works, so you got to live it out to find out.
Stay tuned next season. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I want to also come back to like the concept of play and like getting into the mood or the modality of play while you're doing this. Something that I've been trying to think about and incorporate in my everyday living ritual is, can I get in the mood for this right now? And the reason why it started is because, not to spill my whole tea, but Andrew and I live very opposite schedules with our work. And so that means that our eating schedule, our sleeping schedule, our sex drive schedule is not always aligned up. And I got, and maybe it's because of the experience of being a woman, but like when he would kind of like start to make moves and I wasn't already in the mood or like close to that, I was like, I'm not in the mood right now. Mm-hmm. And he would like, you know, like not that he was pushy at all, but like I would say that in my head, like, oh God, I'm not in the mood. Like I'm not in the mood, you know? And then he'd start to get closer to me, and everything that he would do to change my mood, I was resisting because I already told myself I'm not in the mood. So I've started asking myself, do I have the space to be in the mood right now? If the answer is yes, I'm just laying on the couch. I'm not in the mood, but I have the space to be in the mood because I'm literally doing nothing else and there's nothing else on my brain. Let me give it a try. Let me lean in a little bit. Let me open myself up and say, let's see if I get in the mood. And if I don't, I have the right to say like, actually, nope, take it back. I don't want this. And once I started doing that, I started doing that in everything, right? Am I in the mood to be at work right now? No. But can I find the space to allow myself to get in the mood? Can I shift my energy and perspective from this resistance of, ugh, I don't want to be here, to actually, you know what? I enjoy being here because I'm allowing myself to get in the flow and the mood of that. Similar with your practice. I don't want to work out. I don't want to meal prep. I don't want to sit on the yoga mat. Okay, but do you have the space to allow yourself to attempt to get in the mood for that kind of thing? Because sometimes we don't, and we respect that. But other times, we just need a little push to say, like, well, let me be open to it. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, this is kind of nice.
Okay, I like the word or phrase lean in, because you know that practice of like putting your feet on the ground, standing up straight in a neutral position. And if you're indecisive about two things, holding one in your hand, and like if
Oh,
you lean towards it, it's for you.
yes.
If you lean away from it, your body is saying like, no, thank you. So I totally forgot that that was like something I did as a teenager, because I've always been this like indecisive person. Um, always in this battle of this or that. And I actually did this with mac and cheese while hunkered down for this ice storm, because I had this like vegan, gluten-free option, and then I had Annie's peace pasta. Remember peace pasta? And so
Mm-hmm.
I like totally, and it was so instant. So I highly encourage the
Yes.
practice of like leaning in, like physically, to see energetically if your body is saying yes to it or no.
Yeah. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that I wanted to talk about 2024, and I'm not going to go crazy into it, but I'll leave you with this. It's an 8 year. And in numerology, 8 means, and Victoria, you can talk more to this if you want, but it's abundance, right? Getting everything. So the reason why living ritual is so important, having your practice outside of your safe space is so important, is because especially in a year like this year, where you are going to get abundantly everything that you are energetically putting out, you are going to receive, right? That means that your frequency that you exist in at an everyday state, at an all day state, is what you're going to be receiving. So when we're in this space of a living ritual, that everything is intentional, every step we take is for our highest good, that we're flowing through with freedom and ease and creativity and play, right? Then what are we going to get back? More play, more fun, more creativity, more freedom, more money, right? Whatever. But if I'm sitting here and I'm fearful and I don't know my next step, and I'm worried, then guess what? I'm going to get opportunities to be more fearful and worried and all of that. So that's why it is important that these rituals do have something special, that these rituals do have intention, that you are checking in with your frequency, that you are checking in with your energetic vibration to say, am I living as who I am presently, authentically? And who is that? Do I need to do some rewiring to have more self-love, to have more, play, whatever it is, because that's what you're getting back tenfold this year. So learn your vocabulary, practice with your tools, practice your clairs that we've talked about in many episodes before. Get that vocabulary and see it out in the world and utilize these everywhere.
I want to add something real quick, jumping back to us entering into an 8 year. So, 8, obviously, flip it on its side, and it's the infinity symbol. So, it represents that there is no beginning nor end. And I think when you are stuck in a loop, um, it can be very detrimental to your mental health. And so I think
Mm,
understanding your cycle and
mm,
honoring your cycle is one way to kind of tend to getting stuck in the loop. Um, but knowing, I think, that you have the choice to be in the loop or not. You can
mm,
you can always be going around in the circle or in the cycle, or you can step back and observe yourself and what it would be like to continue going on that path.
mm-hmm. Living
Ev-
cyclically is another living ritual.
As bleeding women, we sure know what that's like.
So I invite you to pick one thing that you already have a ritual for, cooking dinner, going to work, and trying to make it a little bit special. Trying to have a little bit of intention and attention every single time you do that. And that's how you build this rewiring habit, by picking one action at a time and becoming the observer of how it feels to shift the energy in that intention or in that action, and then being able to course correct and realign from there.
I'm trying to decide what I'm going to pick. I'm
Well, I
actually
feel like you're pretty
really
good at it now. So what is on the table that you don't do with like a more sparkly intention?
I don't know. I just really want to play with fire now that I have this like idea of alchemizing and holding intention with fire. So
Mm-hmm.
I do that with water all the time, and air through all the things I burn. But having that contained fire to kind of maintain my inner fire, I feel called to play with. So, as Tara mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this is the first episode of season 4. We have so much good juice brewing for you this year, this season. And, I'm just really excited for what's going to come through. We're both kind of like stepping back. And even though this episode we had a lot of lists and bullet points, we're excited to channel for you. And I think that's something Tara and I have been called to do from the very beginning. And our Pleiadian friends are waiting with fun messages. So next episode is going to be straight to the meat of it all. And we're going to be discussing disappointment and what it's like to care, to not care, to not have your expectations met. What are reasonable expectations? And I'm excited to share this with you because it's something I've been deep in with the past few weeks, months, and maybe my whole life. I don't know. I feel like I have high expectations. So it'll be a good one for Tara and I to dig into with you and see what comes to the surface. So until next week, we love you so much. And actually, wait, will it be our Valentine's Day episode? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Week
Two more.
after. Two more. I got excited. It's my favorite holiday. It's like my conception time. You know, all Scorpios were conceived during this period. So if you don't want any more Scorpios on this planet,
stop making babies on Valentine's Day. I almost said Thanksgiving. All right, I think it's time for us to go.
Or make more Scorpios. We love you so much. Thank you for joining us. And until next time.
Bye.